graph plugin basically allows you to create a graph. So as I click on the graph icon and go into the graph plugin, we are presented with a couple of different options here. But the first thing I want to do is come down to the very bottom and scroll down on this gutter bar, and you can see what we have are a bunch of numbers here, and it looks pretty ugly. But it's really not that complicated. So what we're going to do is first, notice we have an x0, a y0, an x1, a y1, x2, y2. This continues all the way down to basically x49 and y49. So we are going to start at x0, and I'm just going to leave this one at 0. Now I'm going to come down to x1 and type in 10. At every x interval, I am going to increase it by a variable of 10. So at x2, I'm going to type in 20. x3, I'm going to type in 30. x4, type in 40. And I'm going to continue doing this until I get down to about, let's say, 6 or 7. So at x6, type in 60. x70, type in 70. Now, as you notice, when I am typing in each variable, you can see a little line growing in my render window. So we'll go to x10 and type in 100 right there. Basically what we did is just increased every x variable by 10, and now we can see a little line right here in our render window. Now what I'm going to go back and just kind of increase each y variable. So I'm just going to randomly either put in a negative number or a positive number. So y1, make it a positive, y2, negative, y3, positive, and I'll just continue doing this randomly for each thing, just so we can see what the graph is actually doing. Okay, so we have this. Now at the very top, if we go back up, what I'm going to do first is just add a little bit of material so we can see here. And I just want to kind of scale this up a little bit so we'll be able to see a little bit better. Within the graph, we do have this option for a width. Normally the default of 200 should be enough room, but as we do increase the x variables, depending how many we have, we may need to increase that width, and the same thing for the height. Depending how high our y variables go, we can increase that. You'll notice an option here for start and end. Start is at 0, end is at 100. So it means that the starting point for the x0 was at 0, our end point is at 100. If I decrease our 100, you can kind of see how this graph will now grow on. So if I take that back up to 100 and I adjust my start, it will kind of grow on from the other end now. There is an option for a line width. I can increase this, get it a little bit thicker or thinner if I choose to. The graph has its own built-in 3D generator, so there's a little button here for 3D. So if I turn that on, what becomes active then is the extrusion depth, and I can increase the extrusion depth. And you can see as I am increasing the extrusion depth, how it is making it a little bit 3D. So let's just rotate this a little bit so we can see better. We have other options here, such as add backside, which is on by default. We can turn that off. It turns the backside off. Now there is a line color. We can use the line color. It has its own built-in generator, and we could select a color here and use it to adjust it here. One thing to remember though is if you are using the 3D setting, using this line color will not get you the true shading of it. So in this example, we do have a material on it only because we're using it as a 3D, and now we have the